بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلي وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ما بعد. The evils of music, the devil's voice and instrument. Imam Abu Abdullah Muhammad bin Abu Bakr bin Ayub bin Al-Qayyim al-Jawziyya, 691 Hijriya, 751 Hijriya, taken from the delivering the afflicted from the plots of a shaitan. Chapter 6, Diversionary Wordplay. The first name, diversionary wordplay, Allah, Ainam, and an idle speech, Lahul Hadith. أيوة. Allah the Exalted says, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْتَرِي اللَّهُ الْحَدِيثَ لِيُضِلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ وَيَتَّخِذُهَا هُزُوًا أُولَئِكَ لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ مُهِينٌ وَيَتْلُو عَلَيْهِ آيَاتُنَا وَلَا مُسْتَكْبِرًا كَأَنْ لَمْ يَسْمَعْهَا كَأَنَّ فِي أُذُنَيْهِ وَقْرًا فَبَشِّرْهُ بِعَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. And from the people is the one who purchases idle speech, lahu al-hadith, to mislead from the way of Allah without knowledge, and subject it to ridicule. For them will be humiliating torment, and wherever our verses are said to him, he turns away insultly, as if he had not heard them, as if there were difference in his ear. So inform him of painful punishment. Ainam. Al-Wahidi and other than him said, the majority of the explainers of the Quran hold that the meaning of idle speech, Lahu al-Hadith, is singing. Ibn Abbas said this is the narration of Sa'id bin Jubair, as well as the narration of Miqsam from Ibn Abbas. Now, and Abdullah bin Masud said in the narration of Abu Sahaba from Ibn Masud, this is also the position of Mujahid and Nikrima. And At-Tori bin Abi Fiqtima narrated that his father, upon the daughter of Ibn Abbas, regarding the testament of Allah, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْرِي لَهُ الْحَدِيثِ, and from the people is the one who purchases idle speech, lahu al-hadith. Ainam, it is the man who purchases a servant girl who sings day and night. And Ibn Abi Naji said upon the majority of Mujahid, it is to purchase a male or female singer with a significant amount of money, and to listen to it or the like of it from falsehood. And this is the position of Mahul. This is also the presence of Abu Ishaq as well. And he said, the majority of what has come through the exegesis of the Quran is that idle speech, lahul hadith, here is singing, since it idly distracts from the remembrance of Allah. Al-Wahidi said, the people who know the meanings of the Quran say that included in this is everyone who chooses idle speech, singing, and musical instrument over the Quran, even though the wording that is mentioned refers to the purchaser. To the purchaser, so the wording purchaser can be mentioned within the context of exchanging or demonstrating preference or choice, and this occurs often in the Quran. He said, and this is further indicated by what Qatada said about this verse when he said, perhaps even if he doesn't get pay money, and he said it is sufficient enough to determine an individual's misguidance if he chooses the speech of falsehood, that is singing, over the speech of truth, that is the Quran. Al-Wahidi said, and this verse with this explanation indicate the impermissibility of singing. Then he mentioned the speech of Ashafi regarding how the testimony of the one who sings publicly is rejected. He said, and as for the singing of the songstress, then that is the most severe of what is involved in this matter. Look the number of hadith that have been conveyed regarding it, and this is what has been narrated from the Prophet ﷺ, that he said, whoever listens to a songstress, the singing servant girl, will have molten metal poured into his ears on the day of judgment, and the molten metal here is the molten lead. Ainam. And it is certainly the explanation of idle speech. Lahu al-hadith has been referred to as singing in res marfu, narrations attributed to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Musnad of Imam Ahmad and the Musnad of Abdullah bin Azubair al-Humaydi in addition to Jami' al-Tirmidhi from the narration of Abu Humama. When in the context of At-Tirmidhi, the Prophet ﷺ said, not sell a singing servant girl and do not purchase them or teach them. There is no good in their sale, and their price is unlawful. And the like of this was revealed in the verse, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْرِي لَهُ الْحَدِيثَ لِيُضِلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. And from the people is the one who purchases idle speech, lahu al-hadith, to mislead from the way of Allah. Naam. This narration, even though it relies upon the transmission of Ubaydullah bin Zahir from Al-Qasim from Ali bin Yazid bin Al-Qasim, is strengthened by supporting narrations. Ubaydullah bin Zahir is reliable just as Al-Qasim is also reliable. It is Ali who is weak. However, there are supporting narrations that will strengthen it, as will mention as Allah wills. And the explanation of the companions and their students from the tribune for idle speech is sufficient in conveying that it is singing, and this has certainly been authentically transmitted from Ibn Abbas and Ibn Mas'ud. Abu Aina, أيوة, Abu Abu Sahaba said, I asked Ibn Masud about the statement of Allah. Among the people is the one who purchases. Is the one who purchases idle speech, Lahul Hadith. Then he said, by Allah, for whom there is none worthy of worship but him, it is singing. And he repeated these 3 times. It has not been authentically transmitted from Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu that it is singing. Al-Hakim Abdullah said in the chapter, Abu Abdullah said in the chapter of Quranic exegesis tafsir from his book Al-Mustadrak, certainly the student of this knowledge knows that the tafsir of the companions who witnessed the revelation and how it was sent down is in the collection of the 2 sheikhs with a linked musnad chain of narration. And he said elsewhere in his book, it takes in opposition the ruling of the rest marfu narration, and even though this opinion is questionable, there can be no doubt that it is more deserving of precedence than the tafsir of those who come after them, since they are the most knowledgeable of the Muslim nation concerning what Allah intended in His book, the Quran, since it descended amongst them and they were the first to be addressed by it from this Muslim nation, and they witnessed its explanation from the Messenger ﷺ in word and deed, and they were truly the most eloquent of the Arabs. So there is no substitute for their tafsir so long as it is available, and there is no contradiction between the explanation of idle speech that refers to singing and the explanation that refers to the news of the non-Arabs. Ainam, they are kings, the leaders of Rome, and other than that, from what another Ibn al-Harid used to tell the people of Makkah in order to procure them and distract them from the Quran. Both of these are considered idle speech, and from this reason Ibn Masud said the idle speech, Allahul Hadith, is falsehood and singing. So there are from amongst the companions those who have mentioned this, just as there are those who have mentioned that, as well as those who have mentioned both. And singing is the worst type of idle speech, and presents more dangerous harm than speech regarding kings and news concerning them. This is the conjuring of illicit sexual relations. It prompts hypocrisy. It is from the trappings of the shaitan, and it intoxicates the mind and distracts it from the Quran, more so than other things from the various types of baseless forces that distract. And it is also dangerous to the severity in which the people incline towards and are influenced by it. If this becomes known, then the singers and those who listen to them have a share of this blame according to how much singing has distracted them from the Quran. And if they did not attain all of the blame, then they certainly receive the blame contained in the verses that involve the rebuke of those who exchange idle speech for the Quran, in order to mislead from the path of Allah without knowledge and expose it to mockery. And if the Quran is recited to him, he wrongly turns away as if he couldn't hear it, as if there was deafness in his ears, which is an obstruction and an inability to hear. And if he knew something from the Quran, he will smoke it. So all of this will not occur from anyone but the most severe of people in disbelief. And if some of it were to occur from the singers or those who listen to them, then they receive a portion or a share of this blame. These are further gratified by the fact that you do not find anyone who focuses his attention upon singing and listening to musical instrument except that he has been carried away from the path of guidance in word and deed. This involves inciting an individual to avoid listening to the Quran by listening to singing instead, to the extent that if he was exposed to singing and the recitation of the Quran, he will choose singing over the Quran, and it will be hard for him to listen to the Quran. And perhaps this situation will prompt him to silence the reciter of the Quran and to consider his recitation to be too long, while he seeks more from the singer and feels his spell binding. Songs are too short, and the least of this for this person to achieve a generous share of the blame if he doesn't receive complete blame. And speech regarding these affairs affects the one who still has some life left in his heart, so he can detect this. However, for the one whose heart has died and for whom the trouble has become too great, then this individual has closed himself off from any path to sincere advice. ومن يريد الله فتنة فلن تملك له من الله شيئا أولئك الذين لم يريد الله أن يدرك قلوبهم لهم في الدنيا خزي ولهم في الآخرة عذاب شديد. And if Allah intends to put someone to trouble, you will be powerless against Allah on his behalf, Those are the ones whose heart Allah has not intended to purify for them in this world. It's disgrace, and then in the hereafter there will be a great punishment. Surah Al-Ma'idah 5:41.